Alright guys, this is an update to the Phoenix Models P40 with one of the better influencers on this model in the background. So anyway, this tape just keeps the unit on as I was test fitting the actual spinner. So I had my ESC originally up here. That's why this hole is cut in the support system, and I used some flight skin. There were concerns about cooling up here, so I just took the easy route and I built a triangular support for the ESC. So the wind's going to come in from the cowl over the ESC and pass right through the bottom. It's the best example of cooling I could come up with. I avoided this initially for a simple reason. When you come into the fuselage, it created a more complex way of connecting the lipos. So I cut into this area, I supported it, then I covered it with very good heavy-duty tape so that the wires wouldn't eventually pull or wear. And as you can see, I'm starting to do my lipo area. No skid plate has not been attached yet, and some Velcro. What's complex about this, or just, you know, things you got to think about, is that the lipos will still be able to move around. So I'm going to create a shelf pad in here to keep them from moving horizontally, and then something more to keep them from moving left to right. Inside the fuselage, I've gotten my tail wheel connection completely done. I'm going to do the stabilizers, the elevators next. All of this before putting the the cowl on, so that there's no chance of damaging that. I like having the ability of getting the front end of the model completely done before playing with the tail, so there's no damage to the tail area. So the last thing I'll say about this is don't make the mistake I did. I was playing with the cowl and only worried about the distance, or how the cowl, the motor, was centering to the cowl. And as a result, I just totally ignored the 6.5 inches you needed from your back plate to your firewall. So I literally had to start over, went with better supports. I added 2 layers of flight skin in here instead of the fiberglass plate, because the flight skin, in my opinion, adheres better. One of the things I would do if I did it all over is I probably would have added flight skin on the inside as well. This carbon fiber material that they use on this model compresses easily under load, so if you're flying gas, I would recommend doing that. One last update. This is a better look of my scratch built cockpit. Again, all done from very simple parts. This is a copy from the internet, nothing trademarked. I just found the best example of a P40 that had a front-on view, and it took me 3 attempts to get pretty close in size. When the canopy is on here, you're not going to see this this gap. These are rings from Harbor Freight. So the process goes like this, just to be clear. You put this down on your backing, whether you want to use a thin piece of balsa or whatever. You have another copy of this version. You put that on a piece of foam very similar to this, and you cut out your dials. Okay? So then you're going to put a clear piece of plastic over top of this version right here. You're going to put a clear piece of plastic. Then you're going to put this version with your cutout holes over top of this, and you're going to have instant easy dials done. You'll fix that to your board, whatever board you choose, like I said, balsa or whatever, and then you're going to add rings for 3-dimensional depth. These are nothing but toothpicks. These are nothing but cut off dowels. This is cut off piece of balsa shaped in a triangle, and then the pins are added, and the pins are added with tubes that are squeezed down. Tubes, you know, similar to what you see in here, just aluminum tubes that you can get at your hobby shop. And these are the rings and stuff. These are all the parts I typically get at Harbor Freight. You'll have a lifetime supply of rings if you pick these up at Harbor Freight. They're about $10, and you'll have O-rings to last a lifetime to do any type of canopy. So this is a Warbirds.com Pilot. The added harness here that sits over top of the Pilot is simple white shoelaces with lines drawn in with a Sharpie marker. So you get a pretty good effect. Again, it's not Top Gun scale, it's fun scale. But you can see the interior of the model a lot better. And I'm going to cover this wood in here inside with simple plastic. What I'm going to do is measure it, cut out plastic, and glue it in there, and then take a dowel or something like that and push it down as I'm gluing it. So that'll be the next step. One last thing I want to talk about is the actual canopy as I'm walking you through my finished basement where I work. So this is the canopy that comes with the Phoenix models. This is the P40 canopy from Top Flight's 1/5 scale P40. What you can't see in the video is what the Phoenix model is missing. There's a cross beam that should be going across. Here there's little angle inserts that should go here, down here, and it really changes the appearance of the canopy and makes it more P40-esque. I'm going to cut thin plastic and demonstrate that as I move along here, but you'll see here, if you can in the video, there is a crossbar that runs all the way down here that's missing from this canopy. There's also triangular supports that are missing here and some other places on the model. So there's some little changes I'm making. By the way, if anybody is curious about what's on my building table, this is a 1960 King Cobra from Sterling that I am literally scratch building. So I'm adding retracts, flaps, and some other things. This will be a winter project that I'm going to finish this winter. I'm at the point where I need to sand before I go any further, and it is complex because I'm adding things that were never supposed to be on this model, from scratch-built flaps, scratch-built airlines, scratch-built airlines, scratch-built flaps, and retracts and nose gear, all kinds of crazy things. So anyway, didn't mean to divert from that, but you're getting a little look at my hobby work area, some of my planes that are just hanging around. So that's it for now. I'm going to call this update number 1 as I try to answer some of the things that are very gray areas on this model. And by the way, look at your P40 where they used CA. It ate into the foam, so I may fill that with lightweight filler. It's a lot worse on the other side, and you can see broken pieces on this that I will go back and add to support the pushrod tubes once my servos are installed. I want to lock them in. Once I get all the pushrods in, then I'll lock those tubes in, because when you don't, it does impact trim, especially when your tail surfaces are under load. If this isn't locked in, as you can see, it can impact the load of the model. So that's about it. That's going to be what I call update number 1, because my initial videos I did on this model were totally incorrect.